Today on Real English we're going to be having a little look at something that my students always ask me after they pass their FC or CAE exams. They always say, which proficiency exam should I do? Should I do the CPE Cambridge exam or should I do the ECPE Michigan exam? And this is a very good question, and in this video today, if you're in this situation or you're thinking about doing one of these exams, this video is absolutely perfect for you, because what I'm going to be doing is comparing each part of the exam, and so you can see exactly how they kind of compare, at least on paper. Let's have a look at the basics, shall we? So time wise, okay, time, we have ECPE lasts about 2 hours and 55 minutes, which, if you think about it, is fairly quick. Alright, and this compares to CPE, which is 3 hours and 45 minutes. Now it's a lot shorter than it used to be, because they now have the grammar and the reading together in one section of the exam. So both of these exams aren't the longest, but you can see CPE is approximately 1 hour longer. Not that I think this really matters, really. You can still sit either of these exams in one day if you had to. Cost wise, they cost roughly about the same, and it really depends where you are in the world. There's not much to compare here, and as I said, costs vary depending on what part of the world you're actually in. Qualification, they're exactly the same here. You get a C2 by the European standards, proficiency level qualification, and that's what it clearly states on the certificate that you'll get from them. So again, exactly the same qualification. They're valid forever, pretty much. However, both of these examination boards do stress that after a period of 2 years, you should think about refreshing your English, especially if you're not using it. Where they do differ though, and that's what we're going to have a look at today, is in the format of the exam. So, first up, let's have a look at the listening. So, in the ECPE, the listening is fairly straightforward. You have 3 parts. I'm not going to run through the parts of the exam. If you are interested in the parts of exam, click here and there'll be a link for a video that will actually run through this in greater depth. It lasts about 45 minutes, and I think the key here is it's multiple choice questions. Yeah? CPE, 4 parts. First part you'll have dialogues. Second part, some sentences and you've got to fill in the gaps. Extended dialogue, so multiple choice questions here, and then 5 monologues where you're hearing maybe, I think, 5 speakers, and you've got to find 2 bits of information for each speaker. Again, there's going to be a link taking you at some point to CPE listening video, which I'll be doing in the near future. So overall, you can see the listening, there's not much between them, okay? The CPE lasts 40 minutes, whereas the ECPE lasts 45. Both of them pretty much the same. Nothing really different here, in my opinion. The reading, now this is where there is a major difference. So in the ECPE, you have a total of 20 marks, and the reading is part of the GVCR. So you know, the grammar, the vocab, the close, and the reading are all together in one paper, and only 20 out of 120 marks, only 20 are actually given to the reading. You'll have 4 texts, which you know, I think they're shorter than the CPE texts, and I'll get to that in a minute. And for each text you're going to have 5 questions. With the CPE, it's a lot more demanding. Okay, so you have a separate mark for this part of the section. So in ECPE you're going to get a mark for the grammar, the reading, the close, the GVCR they call it. You're going to get 1 mark for this all together. Alright, Whereas in CPE, you're going to get a separate reading mark. Even though the grammar and the reading paper are merged together, you will get a separate reading mark. So your reading does have to be very, very good. And the text that they give you in CPE, they're challenging. Well, they challenge me anyway. So you get 3 reading passages. Each passage offers you a different challenge. There's the first part, part 5 is just multiple choice questions. Part 6 is placing paragraphs in a text, which is really good fun. It's like doing a giant jigsaw puzzle. And part 7 is you've got 4 or 5 paragraphs and you've got to locate where information is. If you've done the FC exam or CAE exam, you'll be very, very familiar with these readings because they're the same, just the level goes up. But as I said, I think that the reading part of the exam is, especially in the CPE, is more challenging. And as well as this, some texts in CPE will receive 2 marks. So you kind of have to be good at them, otherwise you're going to lose a lot of marks. Grammar-wise, the ECPE, as I said before, it's part of the GVCR. You have 40 multiple choice questions, and then you also have a passage which is called a close, and there's a lot of grammar involved in this as well. So you could say 60 marks out of 120. So grammar is very, very important in the Michigan exam. The CPE, as I said earlier, what they did to make the exam shorter and better for students was to put the grammar and the reading parts of the exam together, and that was an excellent thing because otherwise it was a bit of a beast of an exam, to be honest. Now you have the 4 first sections of this paper are grammar, so you get multiple choice, a gap fill, there's missing words in a text and you've got to fill them in, word transformation and sentence transformation. And again, there will be videos following if you want more hints and tips and things for these parts of the exam. But I would say they just test grammar in a very different way, these exams. In ECPE, they keep it multiple choice, whereas in CPE, it's a little more demanding. You either know the answer in a lot of the paper or you don't. Writing, again, there's a massive difference here. In ECPE, you have 30 minutes to write an essay from a choice of 2 questions. And that's about 1 to 1.5 pages is the word limit. So it's about 300 words, I would say, at least, is what you should be writing. And this is not an easy task, because 30 minutes to write 300 words, that's going to be a little bit tricky, even for any native speaker, and, well, at least I find it quite challenging. Then we also have the CPE. Big difference here. So it's much longer, the paper. First of all, you have 1 hour and 30 minutes to do 2 compositions. So the first one of these compositions is an essay, and it's about 240 to 280, so you still have to write an essay. But part 2 is where it gets interesting. You have a choice of 3 other questions: an article, a review, a report, or a formal or informal letter. And they'll also be, every year they assign a book that you can read, and you can choose, I think question 5 is the text-based question if you've read the book. So again, you need to be familiar with lots of different writing styles, writing reports and reviews, whereas in ECPE you just need to know how to do an essay. So, speaking, last but not least, in the ECPE, again, I've got lots of ECPE speaking videos. If you want to have a more detailed look at that, please check out the other videos. So this is based mainly on a scenario, like they'll tell you, you are teachers and you have to choose a place for your students to go on a school trip, or you work for a company and you want to select a new mobile phone for your employees, something like that. And this basically will involve summarizing things to your partner, comparing things with your partner, presenting things to an examiner, and then defending the option that you chose. So, and it lasts about 25 minutes. There's a lot of method to this test. You need to know what you're doing in each part, and you can see it's 25 minutes long. In the CPE, a very different style of speaking test. There's 3 parts to it. Personal questions, as with most exams, pair work involving a picture, and then a long turn and a discussion. And again, I'll be doing a video about that, in fact, next. So you'll be able to check that out if you wish. And this is only between 16, I would say, and 19 minutes. So it's slightly shorter. I would say both these speakings are absolutely awesome, and it really depends, you know, what kind of speaking you like. And generally, that in a nutshell, they are my final thoughts. All right, both of these exams are very challenging. I don't really think that there's any really easy option, which of course is the first thing people ask me. Oh yeah, but which one's the easiest? They're both very difficult, and they require a lot of effort, time, and studying. Both of these give you a C2 proficiency qualification that is recognized pretty much throughout the world. And my advice is this, quite simply, you should try some practice tests. So get hold of an ECPE test and get hold of a CPE test, sit down and do them. Or watch some videos that we've done on this site, and you'll have a very good idea of what you need to do and whether you like it or not. Simple. Okay, so if you have any questions about this topic, please feel free to drop us a mail or comment on the video. Thank you very much for watching. Bye for now.